Welcome to Reflect with Ed Fassio. Get ready to experience one of the world's first 100% digitally generated podcasts, where we take a step back, dive deep, and strive to learn new things. Join us as we unpack thought-provoking ideas, personal reflections, and inspiring stories to help you stay in the know. Reflect is brought to you by the minds at ByteBrain and powered by emerging technologies from Google, HeyGen, OpenAI, and 11 Labs. Thanks for tuning in. Now, relax and prepare to reflect.
Welcome to Reflect, one of the world's first 100% AI-generated podcast. I'm Hale, and Julius, I want to walk you through 3 stories, 3 different industries, 3 different AI systems, 3 different people whose lives were changed by a decision a machine made, and in every single case, nobody was held accountable.
3 stories.
Story 1. A man named Robert Williams was arrested in Detroit in January 2020. He was handcuffed in front of his wife and daughters and taken to a police station where he was held for 30 hours. The charge was shoplifting. The evidence was a facial recognition match generated by an AI system. The match was wrong. The system had misidentified him. When his public defender asked the Detroit Police Department who was responsible for the false match, the vendor pointed to the police pointed to the vendor, and the prosecutor's office said the AI was just a lead, not a conviction. Robert Williams eventually had the charges dropped. Nobody was disciplined. Nobody was liable. The system generated a false identification that cost a man 30 hours of his freedom, and nobody owned it.
Nobody owned it.
Story 2. In the UK, between 2000 and 2014, over 900 post office branch managers were prosecuted for theft and fraud. Some went to prison. Some lost their homes. Several died before they could be exonerated. The cause was a faulty accounting software system called Horizon that was generating false shortfall figures. The post office knew the system had bugs. They prosecuted people anyway. When the scandal finally broke, it took until 2024 for convictions to be overturned at scale. The question of accountability was almost impossible to untangle. The software vendor, the post office executives, the legal teams, the government that owned the post office. 14 years of destroyed lives. The accountability map was a maze.
14 years.
Story 3. In 2019, an investigation by the Markup found that an algorithm used by health systems across the United States to determine which patients needed extra care was systematically underestimating the needs of Black patients. The algorithm used healthcare cost as a proxy for healthcare need. Because structural inequities meant Black patients historically spent less on healthcare, even when equally sick, the algorithm rated them as less in need of intervention. Roughly 50,000 patients who should have been flagged for additional care weren't. The algorithm wasn't programmed to discriminate. It learned from data that reflected decades of systemic inequality. The vendor updated the algorithm when the study was published. No patients were notified. No health system issued a formal accountability statement.
3 stories. 3 different systems. 3 different kinds of harm. And in every case, the accountability just dissolved.
This isn't bad luck. It's a structural problem that's baked into how AI systems get deployed right now.
The accountability gap has 3 layers. The first is the liability gap. Current legal frameworks weren't built for AI decision-making. In most jurisdictions, if an AI system causes harm, it's genuinely unclear whether the liability falls on the developer, the deploying organization, the user who approved the output, or nobody. The EU AI Act is trying to address this. The US has no equivalent federal framework, which means right now, in most American organizations, the answer to who's responsible if our AI gets it wrong is legally ambiguous at best and practically unanswerable at worst.
The second layer is the transparency gap. Most commercial AI systems are proprietary black boxes. The organization deploying the system often can't fully explain how it arrived at a decision. They can tell you what the output was, they usually can't tell you why. Which means when something goes wrong, they can't even begin to reconstruct the decision pathway to identify where the error occurred.
And the third layer is the audit gap. Even where transparency exists, there's often no mechanism for independent verification. The organization that built the system is usually the same organization that evaluates whether it's working correctly. That's a conflict of interest that we wouldn't accept in financial auditing or food safety inspection. We accept it routinely in AI deployment.
Those three gaps, liability, transparency, audit, are what allow accountability to dissolve every time something goes wrong. And they're not accidents. They're the predictable result of moving fast without building the accountability infrastructure first.
Asa Raskin's framing from Tuesday applies here too. These systems weren't designed to hurt Robert Williams, or the post office managers, or those 50,000 patients. They were optimizing for something: accuracy rates, cost efficiency, throughput. The harm was a byproduct. And because nobody drew the accountability map before deployment, nobody owned the byproduct when it showed up.
So what does an accountability map actually look like? Because I don't want to just name the problem.
An accountability map for any AI deployment has to answer 5 questions before the system goes live. First, what decisions does this system influence, directly or indirectly? Not just the obvious ones, the downstream ones too. Second, for each of those decisions, what's the worst plausible outcome if the system gets it wrong? Third, who is the named human accountable for each of those outcomes? Not a team, not a department, a person with a title. Fourth, what's the escalation path when something goes wrong? Who gets notified? In what order? Within what time frame? And fifth, how will affected individuals know that an AI system influenced a decision about them? And how can they contest it?
5 questions. Most organizations deploying AI right now couldn't answer all 5 for their most critical systems. That's the gap.
And here's why it matters beyond the ethical dimension. Regulatory pressure is building. The EU AI Act is live. State-level AI legislation is accelerating in the US. The UK has shifted from a principles-based approach to enforcement-ready frameworks. The organizations that build accountability infrastructure now are going to be significantly better positioned than the ones that wait for a mandate. You're not just doing the right thing, you're doing the strategically smart thing.
Robert Williams got his charges dropped. The post office managers got their convictions overturned, most of them eventually. The 50,000 patients never found out. The accountability gap doesn't just hurt the people inside the story, it erodes the trust that makes AI adoption sustainable at all. When people stop trusting the systems, they stop using them. Or worse, they use them anyway, and the harm compounds invisibly.
Your move.
Run the 5 questions on your most critical AI deployment right now. What decisions does it influence? Worst plausible outcome? Named human accountable? Escalation path? Contestability mechanism? If any of those 5 don't have a clean answer, that's your governance priority for this quarter.
Second, if you're procuring AI from a vendor, add 3 questions to your evaluation. Can you explain how the system reaches its decisions? What's your liability posture if the system causes harm? And do you carry independent audit rights? If a vendor can't answer those, that tells you everything about the accountability gap you're buying into.
And third, build the accountability map before you need it, not after the first incident, before. The organizations that have a clear answer to who owns this when it goes wrong are the ones that survive the first incident and keep operating. The ones that don't have that answer spend the next 2 years in legal and reputational recovery.
The algorithm decided. Nobody was responsible. That's not an accident. It's a design choice, and you get to make a different one.
Who owns it when your AI gets it wrong? That answer shouldn't be a maze. See you Saturday.
Thanks for listening to the Reflect podcast, where we're telling the future Are you in it? Visit reflectpodcast.com and share your story.
Draw the map before you need it. See you Saturday.
In the cyber ocean of online voices and recycled content, something different has arrived. Reflect isn't just another podcast, it's the future of storytelling, powered entirely by AI. From curating data to assembling thought-provoking ideas, we've redefined how journeys are told. Reflect is a podcast that thinks, learns, and evolves with each episode. Every tale, every insight, crafted by the most advanced AI technologies. A podcast that disrupts the industry, breaking free from traditional formats, taking you on an entirely new experience. So tune in now and reflect. We're telling the future.